Welcome back, everybody. My name is Nick. This is Soulful Thinking, and in this series, we are learning how to use Git and source control. So if you're following along, 2 videos back, we learned how to branch our code base and then how to merge those changes back in. And in the last video, we talked about the conflicts that might arise when we're trying to merge those changes back in. Now, in both of those videos, we were branching and then merging. So in this video now, we're going to do it slightly different. We're going to branch, we're going to rebase, and then we're going to merge. So at face value, rebasing is very similar to merging in that we are dealing with the commits on a branch. However, what's actually happening under the hood is quite different. I'm going to really talk through the details when we go through it in this video. But broadly speaking, if I were to merge my code base, I would branch and then make a bunch of commits and then merge those commits back into my code base. If I were to rebase, I would branch, make a bunch of commits, and then rebase. So I would take all of those commits, rather than branching off down here where we just branched from, I will move that branch and literally move the base of that branch, rebase it on top of the timeline of the main branch. So I will literally take that branch and then rebase it on top. So this way I know all of these commits have happened after everything on my main branch. So this way, when I go to merge it, there are no conflicts. So we might run into conflicts when we rebase, but when we merge, there will never be conflicts. We'll talk a lot about that as we get into the weeds in this video. Merging and rebasing are very different, although we often use them to do the same things or handle the same situations. This is one video in this playlist that if you are not using GitKraken, you will not be able to do, because Xcode source control does not support rebasing. I'll talk a little bit about that as well when we get into it, but GitKraken does. So this is just one case where using a GUI like GitKraken can really come in handy. So with that said, let's jump in Xcode, let's do a couple practice rebases, and let's highlight the difference between merging and rebasing. Welcome back, everybody. It's a big day of Git and source control, and I'm on video maybe 8 now today. Really cruising through this. I hope source control is starting to make sense to you guys. This is something that was so difficult when I was first learning and so important. Now that I look back, I should have learned it earlier. I should have spent more time on it. Just when you're coding by yourself and you're learning online, you just don't really need a lot of source control. But really, you do need it. You just don't realize that you need it. And then it's hard to learn. So I hope this is helping somebody out there learn a lot of this stuff. In the last couple of videos, we started talking about branching and then merging. And in this video now, we're going to take what we've learned merging and we're going to alter it just slightly and we're going to call it rebasing. So we're going to talk about rebasing in this video. And this is one of the videos, one of the few features that we actually cannot do in Xcode. I'm going to walk you guys through it. I'm going to use GitKraken to do it. If you're using another GUI, chances are you can do it on that GUI as well. I think chances are most GUIs have it. I think you can do it on the terminal, although I do not know how to rebase personally in the terminal. But I want to show it to you guys nonetheless, because even if you're not going to do it, you should know what it means and what the difference is between merging and rebasing. People often confuse the two. They don't understand that there's a difference, and there's a pretty big difference between the two. So to do this, we're going to start with merging, and then we're going to talk about rebasing. So in the last video, obviously we merged. In the last 2 videos, we talked a lot about merging, but let's simulate one more merge right now. So I'm going to branch off of my main branch here. Go to the main branch and let's just say NS, let's just say change titles. And I like to push it to the remote as soon as I create a new branch. In Xcode, let's start making some changes. So I'm going to come over here. Let's change maybe globe to magnifying glass. And maybe we want to change this down to 5. So it's only 5 items on the screen here. Option Command C. Let's feature, update titles, stage it, commit it. Let's do one more commit on this branch. So let's change the some new title to Soulful Thinking. Option Command C. Feature, update title name, stage, commit, push it up to main, push it up to remote rather. And cool, we have this branch. But while we're doing this, other people are making their own branches and merging into main. So let's go back to the main branch now. So I'm going to switch to the main branch. You can do that in Xcode as well. Switch to the main branch. And let's just add a bunch of commits to the main branch to mimic like people were merging. So down here, we can see merge into main branch, right? But I'm just going to add a bunch of commits directly to the main branch because we already know how to merge. Creating branches and then merging into main is something that we've already done. I don't need to redo that again. Let's just make a bunch of changes, and I'm not going to do them in content view because I don't want there to be conflicts for this part of the course right now. We talked about resolving conflicts in the last video. Those conflicts are the same. Whether we're merging or rebasing, conflicts is no different. When you're merging or rebasing, conflicts can happen, and resolving the conflicts is the same thing. It doesn't matter whether you're going to merge or rebase. But I want to avoid the conflicts right now, so I'm going to make these changes in the home view only. Let's firstly make this commit. Let's delete these and let's say Option Command C. Let's call this feature, delete extra texts, stage commit. Let's do one more in the home view. Let's change the world to hello world, just hello. Option Command C. Let's do feature. Let's say title to hello, stage commit, and we'll do one more commit. Maybe we want to delete our analytics here. Let's go Option Command C and feature, or maybe this is just a clean because we're just deleting the code. We're just saying delete analytics. Stage, commit, push. Cool. All right. So we have our Git history here where we have change titles branch, which is the previous branch we made, and it branched off of the main branch down here. Right? This commit happened and this commit happened. And in reality, these are probably going to be merges, right? Maybe somebody was on another branch and then they merged in this, and then they merged in this, and they merged in this. So we just committed it directly, but they could merge it in. So now we have change titles down here, but it's branched off of an outdated version of main, right? So it's branched off down here. So when we go to merge change titles into main, right now, as is, with a regular merge, it's going to look like this. It's going to take this commit, it's going to draw the line up here, it's going to merge it into the main branch. Just like this. It takes this commit, merges it in. And the benefit of that is that it's going to preserve these two commits. So this history, this Git history here, is in chronological order. It tells me exactly when this commit happened, the exact time and date, as well as this commit. And because this commit is above this commit, it must have happened later chronologically. If this commit happened after this commit, then this one would be higher on our screen here. So this is a chronological order. And so you get cases like this where both branches are being committed to at different times, right? But it's chronological. And the merge is going to maintain these original commits. So that's why Xcode supports merging and not rebasing, because it's maintaining the actual Git history that we see here. So let's go ahead and merge it in. I'm going to right-click it, merge titles into main. And it worked. Cool. So I can see here that these commits stayed here, and then it merged into the current version. So it maintained this Git history here. And a lot of times we like this, right? So we have these changes and let's push them up to the remote repo. And we're going to basically just repeat that exact same process one more time. So I'm going to delete these. I'm going to delete this branch, and we're going to do the same thing. This time we're going to rebase. So I'm going to branch off of main one more time. I'll try to do this fast because I know it's a little boring. Let's go NS, and let's say my new ticket is 123, and let's just say fix something, and let's create it. While I'm over here, I'm going to create some commits. So let's delete this one. And I'm going to do some crappy commit messages for now. Let's just say feature, fix one, commit. Let's come back in here. Let's change this to globe. Let's commit that. And let's just say feature, fix globe, stage all. And let's do one more. Let's say click me back to subscribe now. All right, let's commit that as well. Feature, subscribe button. Again, you guys should know how to write good commit messages. Do not take advice from me while I'm creating this crappy mock data. Let's push that up remotely just so we have an extra version of it. And let's switch back to our main branch here. So I'm going to switch back Let's come back into the main branch, switch to it, and we're going to make some commits on main real quick. So let's go ahead and let's just say, let's work in the home view now. Let's just say hello world, and let's commit that. Feature, fix title, stage it, commit it. And let's go one more. Let's say hello, and let's commit that. Feature, hello, stage and commit. Cool. Terrible commit messages, but I think you guys get the point. So we're back in the situation again where we have our branch. We want to merge the changes from this branch into the main branch. Now, in the last situation, we merged it in. So these commits stayed where they are in the Git history. And sometimes that's what you want. Sometimes it does matter the order that these were committed in and the timeline, the actual time of when these commits happened matters sometimes. But for most of the time, a lot of the time, I would say it doesn't matter. So for example, if I fix this globe, right, I don't really care that this commit happened before this commit. I don't really care that this commit happened after this commit. All I care about is these are the new commits and I want to get them into my main branch. And so if you don't care about keeping this commit history as is, you can actually just take these commits and rebase them or move them so that instead of branching off of here, we can branch it off of the actual main branch. So we are rebasing. So right now, the base branch for this branch right here is where we branched off of, right? This is the base. We are changing the base to now be ahead of the main branch. So we're literally rebasing up here. I want to show you guys a quick diagram here. I just Googled merging versus rebasing. There's tons of images that you guys can see on Google. Here's a merge where you have one feature's happening, and then we merge them in together, right? And a lot of times this is fine. We don't really care which of these happened first. And a lot of times this is fine. This is how we could do it in Xcode if we're merging. But if we wanted to rebase, we could take whatever branch we want and then move it on top of the other branch. So here we have, this was how it was. And we said, let's rebrace. Instead of merging these two to combine them, we're going to take these and then put it on top. So that's the difference between merging and rebasing. It's instead of just merging as is, take your commits and put them on top. I find personally rebasing to be very helpful because a lot of times that rebase will clear up a lot of your conflicts. And most of the time when you're adding a new feature, it really doesn't matter that the first commit happened before some other commit. So I like to rebase a lot. There are some people that say rebase all the time. Some people say rebase never. So when we're doing this, let's remember that the actual Git history is changing under the hood. So right now we have these two commits. We can see them in GitKraken. We can see this commit here and this commit here and this commit here. And when I rebase this, I'm actually going to change what these commits are. It's not going to commit this actual commit. So you'll see here that these commits are down here, but let's now rebase it. So I'm going to come to the fix something. I'll just delete these hidden files for a second. And let's right click on main and let's rebase our branch onto main. And I can see here that this is where the branch was, these three commits, right? There's no line coming off the top of this now, right? We have taken these three commits and moved them on top of the main branch. So now this whole branch, these three commits are starting up here and not down here. So we've re-changed their base. And we can see here that this is the remote version still here, and this is the remote version up here. So when we go to push this to the remote, it's going to ask us, let's push it. Do you want to force push this? So that sounds a little scary, and it is rightfully scary because what's going to happen is when we push these three commits after the rebase up here, it's going to make this the actual branch. So these commits are actually going to be gone forever. So this is where the history was, and this is where the history now is coming off of the top of the main branch. I'm going to cancel this and just go back and reopen this. And I'm actually going to avoid pushing it right now. I'm going to switch back to this branch pre-rebase. So let's reset the local version to here before we did the rebase. All right, so we're back to where we were. I want to show you guys one other thing is if I right click this, I can interactive rebase as well. So an interactive rebase is the same thing as rebasing, except I can pick which of the commits do I want to rebase. So this is like a pro feature in GitKraken that is so cool. I can now pick, okay, maybe I only want to rebase one of these. So I can pick this one, I can drop this one, and I can drop this. Cool. Let's start rebase. And now it just rebased that one commit onto main here. I don't actually want to do that. So let's again reset. And let's again rebase the entire thing on top. And now let's push this to GitHub. And let's tell GitHub, yes, we are sure that this works and we want to force push. Now, a lot of times when I do this, just a heads up for you guys, I like to first rebase it locally, and then I'll open up Xcode and I'll actually run it. And I'll make sure that it still works and still compiles. Let's make sure there were no problems in the rebase, because it is a little risky that we're going to force push and change the history here. So I want to make sure the rebase happened, it was successful. Now let's push and let's force push. When I force push, it's going to delete this other version of it and just move it in sync up here. So now my branch is on top of main as well. So the benefit here is that now that I know that all of these commits happened after this commit, there's never going to be a merge conflict, because everything, the history of this is based on the premise that this happened before any of these commits. So it basically resolved all of my merge conflicts immediately. Let's do one more quick example where I'm going to switch back to the main branch. Let's go to the main branch here, and let's change the home view. So the title says hello, and let's commit it. And let's do feature, fixed title. Again, we have way too many commits that say fixed title. Let's push that on the main branch. Cool. And now from my other branch, which I still haven't merged in yet, let's switch back to the ZZZ branch, and let's change our home view title to hello world. Let's do hello Nick, and let's merge it, and let's say feature, fixed title, stage, and commit. Push that one as well. And now we're going to do the same thing. I again had a typo, sorry guys. Let's take the main and let's rebase ZZZ123 branch onto the main branch. And when it does this now, you'll see that I can't even finish the rebase because there are conflicts. So just like when we were merging and there were conflicts, when we rebase, there are conflicts. So resolving these conflicts is the exact same way. I need to click into the conflict and I need to determine which is the solution that I want. Let's go with the output that says, hello, Nick. So I'll take this, I'll click save, and let's just continue the rebase after that. And then it should work. Rebase worked. And let's push that now to GitHub. Force push it, force push. Because we resolved the conflicts when we did the rebase, we now know anytime that I merge this, there's going to be no conflicts. Again, because the rebase is based on the premise that all of these commits happened after this commit, we know that there are no conflicts. I don't need this stash. Sometimes when you rebase, it automatically stashes. But all right, so now we've rebased and now we can just merge into main and we know that there's no conflicts. Let's merge into main, switch to the main branch, push the main branch up, and let's delete our old branch here. So that is basically the difference between merging and rebasing. It boils down to, do you need to preserve that Git history or not? And if not, then you can rebase it. So again, we're changing the actual history here. And because we have to force push those changes, it gets a little bit risque, I would say. And so that's probably why Xcode doesn't support this feature today. My guess is that someone at Apple was like, you know what, if we don't put rebasing in our source control, less people will rebase. And that's probably a net positive at a high level because there's going to be some really junior or beginner devs who are rebasing, not really understanding what they're doing. And that could cause a lot of chaos and a lot of problems in your code base. Imagine you rebased wrong, you force pushed it, and then you erased your other version of the branch. Those changes are going to be gone forever. Apple probably doesn't include rebasing in Xcode for a valid reason, but if you have a tool like GitKraken, it's incredibly easy to rebase, and they even have interactive rebasing, which has saved me numerous times. So I'm a big fan of rebasing. Oftentimes I will tell junior devs, rebase everything and just let me know if you can't rebase for some reason. And that usually resolves a lot of the conflicts that we have on our team before we even face the conflicts. Again, this is just a style. Some people prefer merging, some people prefer rebasing, but at least now you know the difference between the two. Thank you guys for watching. As always, my name is Nick. This is Swiftful Thinking, and I'll see you in the next video.